Hi and welcome to Google Plus Week. I'm Dan McDermott. This is our unofficial look at the world's coolest social network. Joining me from all over the country and a ferry in New York, we have a Google Plus Hangout. To lead off, we're going to talk to Oleg Moskalinsky. I'm getting very good at pronouncing his name, Oleg, and I've got there we go. Oleg.
That makes one of us.
Yes. Well, you can pronounce it better in Russian than I can in English. Okay, let's lead off with I got an email announcement today from the Google, and it's about on-air Hangouts, and it says this is at 7:30 p.m. tonight Eastern Time. Thanks for blah blah blah. I guess pages can automatically record their Hangouts now. The recorded video will appear in the YouTube account of the page admin who hosted the Hangout. You can now rejoin an existing Hangout on air if you drop out. That's really cool. The live player now shows all participants in a single row, and the best, the live player can now be expanded to go full screen. Once again, Google chasing the app developers and Chrome developers. So what are your thoughts on this? This is pretty cool.
I have a quick question on that first, Dan.
Okay, Alan, go ahead.
For the Pages one, does that mean that all pages now have Hangouts on air, or is that only for people who already have it?
Only the ones that have it. To read that sentence, well, I don't know. I'm guessing. I mean, I guess everyone here has a page.
You mean a brand page? Yeah.
Yeah. If somebody, while I'm talking to Oleg, Alan, or whoever has a page, just see if you can start a Hangout. The way it works, when you have a normal thing, start your own Hangout. It looks like anybody else's Hangout. And then once you click Start Hangout, it says you have been invited to broadcast and record your Hangouts. If you don't see that, then you don't. Alan, you're on a boat?
Yeah. I can't
Yes, I'm
do
on a
it
boat.
'cause I'm already...
That's so cool.
Yeah,
I'm on a ferry right now.
Hangout, so you can't do that.
Okay.
But anyway, it's probably somebody should try. I already have Hangouts on there, so I can't try it. But somebody else who doesn't have it yet, can try that. But basically, I think I haven't actually heard about that particular deal. I have heard about the expanded window size. I think it's excellent that they've done that, because I actually watched Alan several times in one of the Google developers Hangouts, and it's great to watch how these guys from Google talk. The problem is when they start showing you something on the screen, it's impossible to decipher or to tell. It's too small when it's the old style small screen display of Hangouts on air. And so it's very, very nice. I mean, there were extensions that allow you to make it full screen, and you can obviously install. But the concept is obviously to try to keep the extensions down to less than 10,000 if you can. And I think it's great that they've added this feature. You just simply click on the bottom right, and it expands it to full screen, and now you can actually see some screen displays that you can read. So I think it's a great feature.
Yeah, it's really neat.
If they really open Hangout for everybody on Pages, I think that's going to totally boom the usability of it, because there's tons and tons of people are putting pages together right now, and I think it'd be very useful. I just had a meeting with one of my clients, which is a real estate agency, and they're going to start using Google Plus for all of their real estate stuff, and they were totally jazzed about being able to do Hangouts, which they can record and share with their clients and things like that. I think, everything they're doing, I think, is just phenomenal in terms of what possibilities it can have for business.
Yeah.
And in terms of API, I think Alan would be much better to discuss that, because I just read it, but Alan is the guy who should be talking about, because he knows what it is.
Okay, and as we've said before, of course, the Hangouts on Air feature that records directly to YouTube, what that means, of course, is that Google gets and YouTube get lots of free content that they can monetize. Alan, any thoughts on the I guess the Hangout API has been updated?
Yeah, they released a new API a couple of days ago, and what the API is you've heard me talk about endlessly, I'm sure, is it allows non-Google developers to hook into, in this case, the Hangouts to Google Plus to add some additional features. What the big feature enhancement on this one is to allow the API developer some control over where the main video display window goes and what its size is and how it can be used. So anybody who's used a Hangout or anybody who's looking at this will see the main screen is kind of big, it's centered, it's got a very prominent location. What this lets API developers do is move it around, shrink it, resize it, gives it a lot of control over exactly what gets displayed in that window. It's a pretty powerful feature. The Hangout API developers are really excited about it. I know I played with it a little, and it's pretty fun.
Okay, cool. Any go ahead.
Yeah, just question. Do they talk about when you can embed it into your own web page?
They have not yet, although there are some additional small API tweaks that make it so that things like Hangout Canopy have a little better access when the API is running. It's not going to be very useful to Hangout Canopy right now because this is still in serious developer preview. But it's kind of hinting that they're going in that direction. They're getting the input. They're listening to us when we ask for things like that, and it's getting there bit by bit.
Yeah. I'm sure Mohammed Mansour is freaking out with pleasure at playing with these new toys.
Yes and no. I actually talked to Mohammed today, and one of the things that I noticed is when I pull down my canopy, it comes up and says Oleg is hanging out, and I'm like, okay, must have been some kind of bug or something. That was like 2 days ago, and then yesterday is the same thing, and today is another thing. And I finally wrote directly to Mohammed saying, I'm not hanging out anywhere. Why is it showing me as being in a hangout? He says, yeah, it's some kind of Google issue that he says he tried to get some answers but didn't. And so right now he says he's not sure exactly how to get it fixed, but it's something quote-unquote Google is doing. And he says that you just need to go in, it'll tell you that that hangout is dead, and then get out of that, wait for a few seconds, and then you should be able to have my Hangouts show it correctly. And that's what it did. So.
Sariq, you have an interesting point here. I guess you said, did they already have the ability to click on any user and see them in the main screen? Are you talking about viewers or are you talking about participants?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay. I mean, I have been in Hangouts for a while, so I don't really know. I can actually click on each person and mute him separately. Was that already there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You've been able to do that, especially because people had problems with they've been wrestling with some kind of controls for people who are abusive or something. So everyone can mute. I guess they could still be in the Hangout, but nobody would see them. But they would take a spot out of the 10.
Or is it just me that the video looks much better nowadays?
Well, let's see here. I
don't think it's just you. I think it has improved. If people have good connection, good cameras, I think it is pretty better than it used to be. I agree.
With the exception of Anthony. I'm just picking on Anthony.
I think if I remember correctly, the Hangouts with extras had a better quality to it than the regular Hangouts, and they probably on air has a better quality than the regular Hangouts.
Probably.
We know bit by bit they're pushing out a number of optimization and improvements, and that's probably also going to get reflected in the video quality as well. So it wouldn't surprise me if we're seeing a slow improvement in video quality.
Sariq, I got to mute you, buddy. You can unmute yourself later, but I've just got some music playing in the background there. Okay, let's see here. Coming up next. The next topic, we're going to talk about Path a little bit and Pinterest at the end, but we want to get to the Google Plus stuff, the whole Path controversy. There was an update on that. Okay, the updated Android client, I got it. The only bad news is if you were an incoming fan, that's now outgoing. There's no more incoming. That was the last workaround. So if you have an updated Android app and you love incoming, don't. If you're one of the 6 or 7 people who apparently like that feature. Any thoughts on this, Oleg? I mean, I guess...
Well, a couple of things. I think one of the things that I really like is the fact that you can now +1 comments. And I think it's, I've been waiting for that feature because they've had it on regular interface and not that. They added it, but the problem is they didn't make it intuitive at all. And I couldn't even find it until somebody, thanks to them, pointed out that, yeah, you can actually do it now, but you have to long click on the comment, and then you get an option, a pop-up that allows you to +1. Horribly unintuitive, horribly. I mean, they could have done a much, much better job to make it much more intuitive since +1 is such a prominent feature. So, A, I'm glad they did it. B, I'm not glad how they did it.
Yeah.
But in terms of other features that they did, incoming, yeah, I mean, we knew it was going to be gone, so it's gone. And what's hot is now there, which I hardly ever use anyway, so it's not that much use. But I think this +1 deal is definitely an important feature that they've added. They've also added ability to start a brand new, I noticed they've added the ability to start a brand new conversation from the messenger. It used to be just a little camera on the top right, where you could start a Hangout with somebody. Now they've added a little additional icon where you can actually start a post, I guess, right directly from that deal. So I don't know what other things that they've added and done, but it seems to be peppier. I mean, it definitely seems to be faster in terms of, I mean, visibly faster performance-wise, which is always a welcome thing. And you know, overall, I think, you know, it's pretty nice. I just, like I said, I wish it made it a little bit more intuitive. Another thing, speaking of that, I think, well, we're gonna get to Chrome, so whenever we get to Chrome, I'll chime in on that.
Okay. I think Alan's frozen. Alan, is your audio working?
I don't think so.
He is toast somewhere.
He's over the Atlantic.
He's somewhere
Or in the Atlantic.
Okay. All right. We'll come back to that when Alan rejoins us. Hopefully he'll rejoin us. All right. So let's see. We've got
Chrome.
the Chrome update and Chrome for Android update, but that only applies if you have Ice Cream Sandwich.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the good news is they finally have Chrome, and everything I've read about it, they said that Chrome is phenomenal on Android, but you have to have ICS running. And so since vast majority of people right now still doesn't have it, unfortunately, you know, I mean, still don't have it. Unfortunately, you can't really use Chrome just yet, but it's good that they at least started in that direction. And first reports I read, everybody says that they love it. They absolutely love it.
Sreek is asking, let me see if I can unmute yourself if you're still muted. Sreek, are you muted?
I'm fine.
Okay, yeah.
Oleg, I was asking about, I heard about, you know, I read about Chrome pre-rendering. How do you really test this?
Well, you're talking about the Chrome for, I think you're talking about the Chrome that they released for desktops.
Right.
And that's the one that got me totally excited, because as soon as I upgraded, there was a major difference in speed visibly. I mean, it's so much faster in terms of doing what it's doing. And I think what they're doing is they're preloading. I don't know exactly, you know, specifically what they're doing to when they do pre-rendering. Typically, pre-rendering means that they don't show you the screen elements until they're actually completely rendered, and then then you actually get to see the final product. So everything appears to be much faster. I mean, typically that kind of stuff is done through, you know, preloading stuff plus caching. I mean, you get the information you don't need to load from disk anymore. You just have it in RAM, or you have it somewhere where it's easily accessible faster. And so, you know, since it doesn't have to be recreated, it ends up being faster. But we had caching before. But whatever they do with this pre-rendering, it's significantly faster. I mean, it's so much faster than the previous version of Chrome. I absolutely loved it. I mean, it's a totally different beast now.
I don't know what pre-rendering. Are they talking like a cache?
Well, it must be something different, because they had cache before. All the browsers did. But whatever they did in this thing, it's just incredible difference in speed. Plus, I noticed it for some reason lately, Chrome has been crashing quite a bit on many different things. And since yesterday, I upgraded Chrome on a couple of my boxes, and you know, it hasn't crashed once. And I absolutely love whatever they did. I love it. I mean, it's just much better than before. Highly recommend everybody upgrade to Chrome 17.
Okay, Alan, go ahead, and your volume's very low.
As I understand it, the way the pre-caching works is that if it can have a pretty good guess about what link you're going to click on next, it's actually going to go query that link before you click on it and download it and start rendering it in the background. And then when you click on it, it's just going to pop it up immediately.
So it's a prefetch, basically.
It's a yeah.
Well, they know a lot of the sites, like all your bookmarks, they know, like if you frequently go to Huffington Post, Drudge Report, Tech Meme, whatever, you know, Yahoo News, and those are like your frequently visited things, this is a good argument for them to store your data in a hackable cloud so they can do these things, or at least figure it out locally. But I could see that they could, I guess they're just anticipating it that way and then using a certain amount of memory or buffer to kind of get it ready.
They've had before, you know, if you go to Google search, they put this option a while back where you can actually see the preview of the page to your right when you go over the links. So they obviously were grabbing it before because otherwise it wouldn't come up so fast. So they've had something similar to that. But I'm just saying the whole browser experience is so much better now in terms of speed.
Even on a search, they're pre-guessing what you're going to type in, right?
Well,
so
yeah, but I'm talking about going over the links.
Yeah. I'm saying they're probably using the same kind of ideology, just.
Well, they must have changed something because it's different than it used to be. And Google Plus is a lot peppier. I mean, they did a beautiful job, whatever they did.
So are they doing like the same thing that Opera is doing on the mobile as for their mobile browser, where is that what they're doing, or are they doing it on the user's end?
Just
I don't know. Do you know, Alan? I don't know.
You've stumped Alan and Oleg.
Well, I haven't read about the details. I don't even know if they've announced specifically what they do.
I think Alan kind of said it. I think they're doing a prefetch of all the links that are coming up and being rendered, and then when you go there, it's pulling it up. So
yeah, but I don't know if it's actually, because if you have a ton of links, I don't see how it's going to improve your speed page rendering that much as much as it did. I mean, they got to do more than that to get that kind of speed benefit, because it's not just, if that was the only thing, that means that when you click on a link, it would come up much faster. But I'm talking about even loading a bunch of tabs. It just comes up. I mean, it's amazing. I was absolutely floored how much faster it's working now compared to how it used to work before.
I didn't even notice. I heard about the new thing, and I looked, and I discovered that I had it because, they automatically update, which can be good and bad. But I didn't even notice it. But I'll have to see it, because I couldn't really tell if it was any faster.
Well, just make sure you're running the version, because one of the things that people need to be careful about is, okay, how do I upgrade? Well, if you go to About Chrome, if you click on a little tool thing and go on About Chrome, it'll show you which version you're running, and if it needs to be upgraded, if it's upgradable, it'll tell you it's upgrading. But in several cases, when I was upgrading other machines, it said that it got the latest version downloaded. You need to click the button to relaunch. And so until you do this relaunch, you're not even going to see that you upgraded the browser itself. So make sure you're running, you do a pull up About, and then the only thing you see at the bottom, it says Google Chrome is up to date, and version right now is 7.0. I got 963.46. That's the latest one.
Alan, do you have any thoughts on the API? We just lost Alan again.
Yeah. I think he's playing. This is the new. Maybe that's what he meant by playing with API. He just wants to see how fast.
The last time he left, it said Alan has left group chat, and then afterward it said Alan is typing. So that's pretty impressive. He must be using an API.
Oleg, the real difficulty in actually figuring out whether it's rendering fast or not is the fact that if you have a really high-speed broadband, and if you actually go to something like CNN.com, for example, I actually do agree that there is a certain amount of performance difference, but if you look at the actual web page being loaded, I can't really tell. That's the original reason why I asked,
Yeah. Well, in my case, what I was doing is I usually run probably, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, probably 8 to 9 tabs that I always run automatically. I got my calendar, I got my Gmail, I got my Docs, I got my Reader. All of those things get loaded always, so I always have them up and running. And by just stopping, basically closing the browser, reopening, and seeing how fast those pages come up, that's what I was going, wow. I mean, this is so much faster than before. And you may say, well, it's because of caching, because you're loading the same thing you always load. But I could tell the difference between how it would load before and how it's loading now. And just overall operation with machine doing different things, because I'm, right now I probably have, 20, 25 tabs open at the same time. And still, the Hangout is going fine. Nothing is crashing. I mean, I think they definitely made some major improvements, and they've probably had some issues recently. And it looks like they've been able to, put those things aside, and I think they did a great job.
Okay, let me get Alan before we lose him. Did I lose you?
Frozen again.
Oh man.
So Oleg, do you do like Skype?
Back.
Click to Skype, stuff like that on your extensions?
Alan's click to Skype. Yeah. I use the actual Google's Gtalk calling thing.
Because I think sometimes these other extensions that are glued into the browser seem to crash it sometimes as well.
Exactly. No, I don't use the Skype one. I know what you're talking about, but I don't use it. I don't use Skype almost at all anymore. Hangouts are the thing for me. Just trying to get the family converted because they're all used to Skype.
Yeah. Okay.
I think Anthony's frozen.
Alan's frozen again.
Yeah, I'm good.
Alan's frozen. Okay. All right. Let's see. Next, we've got Oleg has some useful tips for Google+. Go ahead.
Yeah. One of the things that's very annoying for I'm sure a lot of people, not just me, because several people pointed it out when I posted about it, is that when you're scrolling through your stream and you're looking down at the contents, of course, they keep scrolling all the time, everything else, you get to the point where you're about halfway down the page, and then you want to go and look at something at the top. So you got to scroll all the way back up again. Or if you want to post anything new, and you don't click on the share at the top right, you just want to click in the share at the top of the screen, you got to scroll all the way back up, which is a nuisance. And the scrolling back and forth just basically gets old. So what they did was they added a simple little click. If you click on the gray area in the new Google bar, the gray area which says Google+, it's got the icons for navigation, main navigation, the search, that area. If you click anywhere outside of anything that's actually doing some function, it'll scroll you all the way to the top automatically. One click. So that's very, very convenient. No matter where you're sitting, you scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, and then you just click on that top area, boom, it scrolls right back up for you automatically. It's very useful. Okay? So that's one thing. Second tip I have is that sometimes everybody probably knows now that they can use underscores to make things italic. Dashes in front of, at beginning and the end of a text string will make it, what's the word? Like it's crossed out. And then if you put in asterisk in the beginning and at the end, it makes it bold. One of the things I was trying to do is I was trying to put a quote together, so I put double quotes, but I wanted to make it I wanted to make it underline. And so I put in double quote, underline, so it makes it italic, not underline. You put underline to make it italic. And then the rest of the text, and then I put in the other underline double quote, and it doesn't work. It just shows you underlines, and it shows you double quotes, but it doesn't make anything italic. So what I noticed, what you could do is you could simply put in a space. If you put in a space after double quote, and then you put an underline, and then at the end you put an underline space double quote, then it'll still put a space in there, but at the same time it'll look like it's an italicized piece of text within quotes, like you would normally want to quote somebody. So it's kind of a little tip there that's kind of useful.
All right, cool. Alan, are you back with us? Okay. Go.
I'm back for the moment anyway.
Okay, you had some stuff on the API, right?
Didn't I already talk about the API?
What did you not talk about that you got skipped out or something?
Oh, I thought I talked about it. The big feature there with the Hangout API is the new the new control that API develops.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Programmers have control over the screen.
There was some topic that I was about to call on you, and you disappeared because Alan is on a boat. Where exactly? Okay, what exactly? You're on a ferry, right?
Yeah, I'm on a ferry right now.
What room are you in? It looks like a completely empty room. Are you the only person on the ferry, or do you have your own suite?
There are a dozen or two.
Man,
and he's got.
There isn't a room. This is just one of the general passenger areas.
Are you on 4G or 3G, or what are you?
I am lucky I'm on anything. No, the ship has
Wi-Fi. Huh.
Nice.
Man, it's
where do they get their?
I have no idea what they're using to go ship to shore.
It looks like it seems like it's one cell phone or something that the whole ship's using because you keep coming in and out.
Must be satellite.
Yeah, it's satellite.
Yeah, that's what I was like.
That's how the planes use, right?
Now we lost Oleg.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, Alan.
Whatever it is, it's.
Orkut gets hashtags. Isn't that exciting? Did we lose Alan?
I think so.
Oh my God, this is the most ghetto show we've done.
Well, I don't think anyone's using hashtags anymore, really.
I mean, I get it's kind of neat when like when oh gosh, I can't remember his name. Jeff Jarvis. When Jeff Jarvis will start something funny on Twitter, and it just goes crazy. One time I think he was making fun of some show, some reality show, and he came up with something stupid and said stupid reality show names as a hashtag on Twitter, and everyone joined in, and he retweeted mine, tree whisperers or redwood tree whisperer or something. I mean, we came up with silly things. So, but yeah, I don't think a couple times I've used them on Google Plus. I don't think it matters. Yeah. And I noticed you can share if you do a search now. You can share. Has that always been like that? It's like shared from this search or from this stream or something. You know what I'm talking about? If you do
when you share a post.
No, if you're in your main stream, and you do a search. Let's search for New York, and then you get the results from New York there, and then you can share.
Save this search, but
I can't duplicate it now.
Yeah.
I can't. Yeah, I don't see that anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
you know I lost in my stream. If I put everything on, show everything in my stream, I don't have the thumbnails of all the people's photos in the Hangout and that I know in my circles.
Okay.
Only now when I click on individual circles do they come up.
Oleg, now that you're back, I know you're very excited about this new feature in Orkut that you can use hashtags. Oleg, you have no audio.
Well, I'll speak to this briefly. I mean, yeah, it boggles my mind why they bothered to put it in, especially since they no longer even have the #1 position in Brazil anymore.
Oh, that's right. What beat them? Facebook?
Facebook finally is on top.
I read today somewhere Zimbabwe has like 30 or 60,000 users on Google+. Maybe we'll conquer Zimbabwe before we conquer Brazil.
There you go.
I don't know. Okay. Everything that could possibly go wrong with the show so far.
Do you guys think that Google Plus is eating into Orkut's share of like Brazil? Like, will Google Plus? I mean, obviously, probably Google Plus will eventually become bigger than Orkut, anyways. But do you think that it's hoarding Orkut's market share right now?
I think since Google owns both of them, maybe they should find a way to merge them.
Oh, to merge Orkut and Google Plus?
Yeah. What's the point in the same company owning two different social networks?
Is there, I guess the only reason they keep it is to not piss off Brazil, right? Why do they keep it?
Well, I mean, obviously, when you're building, a website that caters to one specific country, there might be certain things that you do for that one country that you wouldn't do for an international audience.
Yeah.
I would assume it, though, anyways.
I don't know.
And one of the good ways to do that is if you actually expose Orkut with more Google Plus APIs, and if you make a post in Orkut and if it shows up on Google Plus, over a period of time, the transition can be very smooth. And I mean, if I had the authority to do that, I would definitely recommend that. As of now, I think it's just an overhead. It's just, I mean, I have a profile in Orkut, which I haven't really checked in a while. There was a time when Orkut was the #1 in India. I think probably Brazil and India were the only two places where Orkut was really happening. But I know India has transitioned a big way, and most number of users are now on Facebook, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, on the hashtag thing, I just wanted to point out from the Justin TV chat. We got a user. I use hashtags. They're a feature and good for search, especially since Google has added the auto suggest hashtags. They're much more controlled than people just putting in random hashtags. So you could still put in a random hashtag, but if you start typing one about some hot story or topic, then if it can suggest that this is the one people are using, then a search via hashtag would be more relevant. So maybe this feature where they're suggesting them will make it become relevant, so people can find things that outside of your own circles if you're looking for something. But I guess it's just a different way to search for things. So anyway, okay. The path controversy. Oleg and I are doing we're piling a little show, and I'll get Alan on here while we have him. And we did one on Pinterest, which I know Oleg wants to talk about. We did one thing on Path. You want to give us an update if your internet's working on your Titanic boat that you're on?
Oh, please, I hope this isn't Titanic. At least not for another 20 minutes till I get to shore. Yeah, the Path situation is kind of interesting. Originally, it was revealed, discovered by somebody, that Path is sending the entire contents of your address book, or of an iPhone address book, to the server without telling you. Somebody discovered this, made it widely known. The CEO of Path said, hey, you know, everybody's doing this. This is an industry standard type operation. We're not doing anything wrong. Apple says it's okay. And the criticism was so strong that the next day he said, okay, here's the deal. We've deleted everything from the server. The new version, which is available in the Apple Store now, will let you opt into it. We weren't doing anything bad with this data. Honest, you can trust us. But if you feel uncomfortable, it's now in your control. So once again, the internet wins.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. Go ahead.
In a strange way.
But
I think
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I think the better solution would have been, you know, people to have an erasure button, you know, on their application to erase the data, and always have the ability to do that versus opting in. You know, so then give everyone the ability to wipe their data out at any time.
Well, but what if somebody signed up for it, wasn't using it, didn't check their email, didn't know about it, and then they found out? You know, the whole thing is, I don't think it's legal to do this. And I discussed this in another post, and we had some lawyers weigh in. I don't know if Oleg saw it. I know Alan did.
Yeah, I saw it.
But yeah, the whole thing was, my thing is, on my phone, I have, my argument was copyright, but then some lawyers went in and said that that was a stretch, because my original point was, you have a collection of contacts. It could be valuable if you're a leading salesperson for a big organization. Then you could have a valuable list of contacts. And I said to Alan, I said, wouldn't you love to have your top salesperson from your competitor, their phone for a day to go through and get all their clients?
Here's the quick thing though, Dan. There's a lot that is buried in the terms of service that we always agree to without reading on every application that we use. This is the same kind of situation that people saw with Facebook. I don't know, it seems like about 6 months ago, actually, when it was discovered that Facebook was doing the exact same thing. But it was buried in the terms of service that they were allowed to do so. Right. We see the same sorts of things all the time. We see this coming up with Google's new privacy policy that's coming out. You know, that's why people are asking questions and raising these issues. Right. There's a lot that's buried in the terms of service, and it behooves us to know it, and it behooves the companies to not tell us or to bury the information.
Yeah,
but I'm still a proponent of, you know, just because you want to opt out, you should be able to destroy your data that they have at any time you wanted to. You should be able to, you know, go through a couple clicks on your phone or whatever it is, and then that eliminates the data on the server.
Jeff, they say they're offering that in the future. Anybody who opts in and chooses to opt out in the future, you'll be able to email customer support. So the feature is sort of there, but I agree with you. It should be made a lot easier and more transparent.
Yeah, I think they deleted it and they're going to make it an opt-in thing, because if you're cool with it, it makes sense. You know, if you're a good user and you trust them, then it's a good feature to have as an option. But you know, I think they risked a PR disaster like Netflix, you know, which used to be just this super popular thing with a glowing reputation, and then through, you know, fiasco after fiasco, it was a PR disaster. I think he was trying to avoid that, and just you know, potential litigation down the road. But okay, so that's the status, and I think the impetus for that, or perhaps coincidental, Alan, was that Michael Arrington, formerly of founder of TechCrunch and now has his own blog, Uncrunched, did a post suggesting that. He said, just delete all the data, and he's his Crunch fund is an investor.
They're investors in Path,
right?
If I remember correctly.
So he said, yeah, they invest in Path, so he owns part of it, and or will when they go public, or however that works. But anyway, so that's the deal there. All right, I see Oleg is ready to talk Pinterest because he's got Pinterest up on his screen, and we're now speaking of terms of service. I'm violating, I don't know how many, when we do the Hangout with all this copyright stuff. But go ahead and give us a look at what you're talking about here.
We're just showing a screen here. We're not showing any products. We're not doing anything, selling anything here, for the record. Basically, on the Pinterest thing, I just wanted to say that, you know, based on our show that we discussed last time, I think the appeal of this thing, which is one thing that was eluding me before, is the fact that you can do this. You can actually go through your pictures in a very quick way. And as we were discussing the Amazon store and just stores in general, that one of the appeals of shopping in a store physically, as opposed to online, is being able to quickly go and browse through lots of items. And I think that's the appeal of Pinterest, because if you're looking, for example, for men's shoes, shoes and I type in men's shoes, then I can quickly do equivalent of a store browsing and just scroll through these shoes. Okay? So you have a much more quick way of browsing through lots of things, and of course then you can decide which ones you like, which ones you don't. The problem is, as you can see right here, for example, this particular guy doesn't look like a guy at all. Okay? Right there.
He has man feet, though.
Exactly. And then if you look over here, if this is, like this example here, if these are guys' feet, then I think I'm falling in love with the wrong gender here. But seriously, though, as you can see, the results here are not exactly what you want to see. So that's the downside of this kind of deal, that even though they mimic with this approach to the screen design a way to shop similarly to what you would do in a regular store, which definitely has some appeal. But the search capability should be stellar to be able to do the same thing. You know, if it happens in German, for example, this is what German should look like, apparently. And see, Dan, they don't have you, but this guy. So yeah, as you can see, you know, you can see there's all kinds of, you know, there's little McDermott shows up with, you know, but jewelry and horses. I mean, that's I think where the downfall of this thing is, that it's just not doing it from that standpoint, in my opinion. But I think that's the appeal, is you can quickly scroll through a bunch of stuff that's kind of what you're looking for, similar to what you would do in a store, physical store.
I think the interesting thing about Pinterest, and I signed up now and got at least a brief look at it, the interesting thing about it is it's so much more visual than the social things that we have now. So people who want to share photos, this is a very visual place to share photos. The downside is it's a very difficult place to share text with that photo. I don't know if you've noticed it. Maybe I'm the only one on Google Plus who sees it. People are posting a lot of photos on Google Plus with their posts, even if it's not a photo they created, but just they're putting in photos to go along with the text that they're trying to transmit. I think it's grabbing. People will see it. They'll stop. They'll read. I think it's a very visual way of dealing with things.
Right.
That Facebook
it's to get people to notice your post.
But the difference, Alan, the difference though is that we have the Google Plus has photos. I mean, you scroll through and you see all kinds of photos. I think the different thing about Pinterest is that they're putting photos in a much more kind of grouped way on the screen, instead of seeing one row, one column.
Well, I think the thing that Pinterest is doing differently, and I think it's a good win in some ways, is that it's very photo dense. It's very photo rich. So people who will key off things visually, and most people do key off things visually.
But that's what I was saying.
Yeah,
it allows you visually to scroll through a bunch of stuff and quickly kind of browse through it and see what's going on. I think that's what the interest of the thing is. But you're absolutely right. It's just a different way, the way they organize it on the screen, which I think what makes it so appealing. Because in Google Plus, you have this narrow single column, and then in Pinterest, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 8 columns fitting on my screen right now, and of course below, you know, they're all stacked together. It's like stacking everything, you know, on the board.
So you're digging it. You're digging it, right?
I like it better from that standpoint because, like I said, you need to have stellar search, which they don't have. I think that's I think what Google should do, if they like it, because it's so popular. You know how they did the Blogger, where you have different views of your blog? They call it dynamic views, where you can actually look at the same blog in different ways. You know what I'm talking about?
Okay. But Oleg, what would you use it for? Say you want to go shopping for shoes, okay?
Yeah.
Would you actually use Pinterest to do that?
No, not the way it is. I'm just saying, if you look at Google Plus, it would be nice to display Google Plus content in a similar way, because Google Plus search is so much better than Pinterest. That's what I was saying.
Well,
but would I go shopping, Jeff? To answer your question, yes.
But when
if I wanted to do a quick men's shoes search and see nothing but men's shoes with the ability to buy, absolutely, because it'll be just like in a regular store.
I think companies and individuals, like the people who are using Etsy right now, small stores, small shops, and big shops will eventually really like how Pinterest lets them just put stuff out there, lets it be found, lets them set a price. It appears. It does look like there's a shopping section there. So I think that's a really exciting thing. I think what they're doing is very interesting. It's going to evolve still, but I really see the potential with Pinterest.
Really, one quick thing. I see Mike Phillips is watching this on Justin. I really wish you'd join the Hangout because I'm really curious He's an attorney and kind of deals in this on the path controversy. I'm really curious if you could join us and give us your thoughts on that. But okay, so all right, you got the docking notice, so you're there. Do you have to get off, or are you okay for a minute?
I have a minute, but not too much more than a minute.
Okay, all right, that's cool. We don't want you to be going back and trapped on this ferry.
Well, hopefully the ferry's not going to have a mass exodus and trample you.
Well, yeah, I'll have to play with Pinterest, and I'm glad that Oleg only approached but did not cross over into a Roland Martin moment when he was talking about the gender of shoes.
Yeah, but just remember that on what makes Google Plus so interesting is I can just take a photo with my Android phone and it'll instantly show up if I want on a post. It automatically syncs to Google, and if I want to add it to a post, I just can. It's getting seamless.
I think Pinterest is pretty close to making it equally seamless. They're obviously not there yet, but I think that's something they could very easily do as well.
Yeah, I think Google can easily kill them, though, Alan.
Yeah,
if they do
totally.
like that.
It's
I
just
think a similar display of Google Plus content. I don't see how Pinterest will survive.
Google is taking a completely different approach with Google Plus than Pinterest is. The most interesting thing I found about Pinterest actually was that I was unable to post any of my Google Plus albums to it.
Mm-hmm.
Pinterest couldn't pick up any of my Google Plus albums, which was very annoying to me.
You mean you're like Picasa? Or?
Well, because
No, I mean,
Pinterest basically it's a URL based. It's like a bookmarking site, basically.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Right. So if I point it at a Google Plus album URL, it doesn't work.
No,
It says it can't find any pictures.
Right.
Really? Does it work for Flickr?
I haven't tried. I don't have a Flickr account.
All right.
Okay, we got Mike in, so I want to go to him in just a sec. But my thing is, I see that they're saying that Pinterest is becoming this huge driver of traffic to websites. And looking at it, I could see that because, like, the screen that Oleg was on, that probably pinged 400 different sites, pulled data from 400 different sites, that one scroll. And so I could see that jamming so much onto a page. Like some of the news sites that are very graphic-oriented will do the same thing. Okay, my argument, I'm going to bring Mike in. My argument with, or my question, Mike, could you center your shot just a little bit? Just your head in the center of it for me, please.
Which way?
Yeah, just move to your right. There you go. That's perfect. Okay. Right. I did a post. I don't know if you saw it, but on about Path, and I said, wouldn't this be a copyright violation? That it's my copyright. And then Alan pointed out that there's a Supreme Court case that said, I guess people were copying, like the Ma Bell would put out a phone book or
a phone book. You can't copyright a phone book under the Feist decision.
Right. The FEI. ST that said, because it was that specific thing. It was someone copying all the contents of a phone book, putting out their competitor phone book, trying to sell ads to everybody. The original phone book sued, and they said you can't do that, and that there has to be a creative element to it, correct?
Correct.
So
there has to be a certain amount of creativity to be able to qualify for copyright protection.
Now, in my, if they, let's say that I have my contact list in an iPhone, which I don't own, but that's what happened with Path, that they took the notes field. It's my understanding. I could be wrong, but I think they took the whole database file, which might have notes or some other things. So it's not just a compilation. First of all, it's not just public data because it might have your secret email address in my contact list. It's not public. It might have notes about you, like, oh, this is a guy, or this is a good client, or watch out for this guy. He's grumpy on Mondays. Would that pass the test to make it copyrightable or not? That's not creative enough?
Nope, it's not independently. If the content itself is not, and I'm giving some very short answers to some very long questions, but if the content in and of itself is not sufficiently creative to justify and to qualify for copyright protection, then it's not protected by copyright. I suspect where you're getting to is probably how do you protect yourself in that circumstance. And by the way, I've had some one or two things rejected for copyright protection that were far and away more creative, more involved than what we're talking about. Some graphics, figures, things like that. That they clearly had creativity, but the examiner originally did not agree at the Copyright Office. But that's normal. But bottom line is that you cannot protect a database with copyright. I mean, it's the Feist decision, Supreme Court decision is the rule of the law at this point. So that's the way it is.
Okay, now
the notes. I mean, the question: if you had these notes and you were going to try to file a copyright application to get a registration for your notes, would it be granted? And I would argue probably not.
Okay, so several, as you did, several attorneys on my post immediately said that this is more akin to a trade secret violation.
Maybe, maybe not.
Maybe, maybe not, but they said that's a stronger case. Why?
Right.
Why would that be a stronger case? And how could your teenage daughter's phone book that Path uploaded and stored on their server, how could that be called a trade secret?
It's not.
But if it was your top salesperson's phone book,
now you've implicated business issues.
But then wouldn't you have to have damages?
Well, it depends. If it's depending on the state, like in North Carolina under 75-1.1 under the Unfair and Deceptive Trade Practices Act, you've got a good chance that damages will be presumed. Because if it's a violation, if it's an Unfair and Deceptive Trade Practices Act, then you have the potential to collect damages when you don't have to prove them. That's the statutory benefit of presumed damages.
Okay. Do you think there'd be a legal recourse for anybody or not? I mean, in the specific Path situation, apparently there are others.
Which example?
The case of Path, the social network competitor, secretly uploading a user's entire iPhone directory to their contact list to their server, and it was discovered. And then the purpose was so that when you were searching for a friend, that they had the information, they could make it easier for you to find them. And Vic Gandotra, Google put out there, and people were freaking out, like, why didn't you ask us? This wasn't an opt-in. You didn't even notify us. And then they explained it, and they said that they had fixed it on the Android app, made it opt-in, but they hadn't gotten around to it or in the process of doing it for Apple. And a bunch of people were very upset, and they ended up just deleting the whole thing.
Well, I understand, but to say that it's, I don't have any reason to believe that it would ever lie under a copyright issue if there's not business information per se. Like if someone were to come in and to steal your database of your clients in the newspaper business, so like a competitor did that would be an unfair and deceptive trade practice. They're not entitled to do that because that is your business information. But that does not mean that a competitor cannot come in and start calling on the clients that you call on who are in a local telephone directory or Chamber of Commerce directory. But anyway, that gets real complicated. But there may be some other issues. I mean, what you're wrestling with, in my opinion, is the idea that the law is very much behind technology. As to whether there is some cause of action that would lie under that situation, who knows? Maybe some lawyer's going to come up with something novel. Maybe there's rulemaking or some sort of statutory consideration to be given to that sort of thing. But going back to the discussion of the Feist with the database and the phone books, a lot of people felt like that decision couldn't be right. It didn't make sense because look at all the time and the money that went into the phone book. Now all the competitor has to do is come in and grab the phone book and start ripping off that information and using it without having to spend the time and the money. And there were some things that were done to minimize damages, such as I forget exactly, it's been a long time since I've gone through the case, but there was an issue of them seeding the list with imaginary names and things of that nature and saying that it was unfair and deceptive trade practice to rip off the sweat of the brow. I don't know. I mean, it's been a long time, but it sounds to me like a losing case in my opinion.
Yeah, I was just curious because it seems like someone shouldn't be able to lift your contact database from your phone.
Well, but again, now you have to break these things down. How did they get it off of your telephone?
Because you signed up for the service, and you put your information there. You set up an account.
And what did you agree to when you signed up for the service?
Well, not that, because the guy said that, apologized.
Whoa! That doesn't, apologizing doesn't mean it doesn't have one of these real onerous terms in there that says that you agree to indemnify us and hold us harmless against any negligence, including our own.
Okay, I guess this gets to this thing. We get upset when all the politicians gang up every time Google does something, or your favorite company, and all these politicians haul them in for hearings. And most of the politicians are just so stupid technologically, as we saw some of these great clips on the Daily Show with people on the committee deciding SOPA on the committee level, and they're just idiots. But
right.
So we get frustrated at that level. But then, like you said, the laws behind tech it is not advancing as fast as technology, and by definition it wouldn't, because the law is largely reactive. But then you see these terms of service which no one reads because they're too long. I mean, if you read every terms of service,
actually, some attorneys do read them, but that's another story.
Yeah, but if you for every program, there's not enough time for you to read the terms of service for every program installed on every computer that you own. That's all you would do. And most laymen wouldn't understand it or understand the implications of it. So they do this stuff, and it's legal, as you say, and then people get outraged when they find out that that your data, that your whole contact database is being put in Pat's hackable data cloud, potentially hackable data cloud, without your knowledge or consent, and then people freak out, and then they haul them before congressional hearings, and they make this big mess. So I don't know what the solution is. I guess it's if they're not responsible and self-regulatory, then they just invite scrutiny by the politicians who are completely incompetent to deal with it.
I'd be surprised if there's any recourse in that circumstance, and if they do, it probably will be new territory.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was the FCC, maybe it was the FTC, when this entire GPS thing happened. They got up in arms, and there were congressional hearings.
The what thing?
The GPS, where you could access the GPS data from the iPhone.
Oh, okay.
And there were congressional hearings about that. I could see, something very similar, this causing congressional hearings if the GPS, basically, when your data is being transferred to a company without your knowledge, based on the GPS fiasco, I can see Congress wanting to talk to this company about the practices.
Yeah, I think the other issue is probably, it's not so much that it's your data, it's other people's data. So if I'm in Dan's phone, he has my name, address. I did not give Dan permission to share my data with Path, right, and send it up there for, I didn't sign a service agreement to have my name, telephone number, address, and other contact information on a server someplace. So it's kind of like, I don't know how they can reconcile that aspect of it, because I didn't sign up for it, but yet through Dan's iPhone, it's got up there. I mean,
that's the thing. Yeah. What if it's a prominent person, or what if Paris Hilton joined? I mean, can you imagine the phone number she has in her cell phone?
Her numbers were released one point, weren't they?
Yeah, she was not amused.
Well, but I mean but again, the law says that if you're going to sue somebody, you have to have a cause of action. And there may be a statutory cause of action. There may be one that has arisen under the common law. Here the law is very slow to catch up with technology. What cause of action would you sue? I didn't give them permission to put it up there. They put it up there. What's the cause of action? In other words, when you file a lawsuit, what are you going to sue them for?
Well, it all depends what was the outcome of that information. If that information was used to find out that where I live, my house was robbed based on that, then I would have a recourse, right? I mean, that there is a plausible action cause. So, for example, like with that Craigslist case, where that guy put the information about that woman, and they tried to sue Craigslist about it because she ended up getting physically raped, and there is some kind of culpability, right? At one point.
Well, is there? I'm not aware of any.
So basically, you're saying if there's harm. I'm not you saying, but you're saying that the law says if they're not responsible for other people's content.
I mean, I can't make broad sweeping statements like that. What I am saying and what I would challenge, and I don't know the answer to the question, but let's assume that Dan comes to me to hire me if I were doing that sort of thing, and wants to go after you for getting his contacts out of his iPhone or his Android or what he has. I'm going to say, all right, we've got to find a cause of action that we can use in the complaint. We've got to sue him. We've got to come up with a sustainable cause of action. What would it be? Did he steal your phone? No. How did he get hold of it? Well, I signed up for his service, and his service, well, I don't know, we could play that game all day. But you have to find a nail to hang it on. And I don't know in this circumstance what that would be. Now, if there's possibility, for example, publishing a list of telephone numbers, maybe there is some privacy consideration, maybe there is some invasion of privacy. Person's not a public figure, they had no right to publish that information, they didn't have the consent to release private email addresses. May that be sustainable one day? Possible, but I got to tell you, I would hate like heck to have to go before a judge and explain that one.
Well, really, the issue is what's the damage? I mean, what nobody suffered. If the database had been hacked into, and Anonymous revealed everyone's phone number and address.
Let me interrupt you right there, Dan. If the database is hacked into, you now have a cause of action for hacking into the database, not for publishing the numbers.
Certainly by them. What I'm saying is, let's say that Anonymous or some group had hacked into Path's servers and taken all that data and released it. Obviously, they would be guilty of a crime of hacking and stuff like that. But would Path then they could be in trouble for having it in the first place when nobody knew about it or gave their consent, especially you. So here's the thing. What if you had a secret email address and phone number, and I had that on my phone, okay? You have not, and they upload my database that contains your information in it, right? You've never signed a terms of service agreement with Path, yet they now have your secret information on their servers, and then it got hacked into. I think then you'd have a case of some sort.
What cause of action?
I don't know. You're the attorney. I don't know.
I can't think of one. I'm asking you.
So now you're inconvenienced, and let's say you have to get a new phone because you're getting all these calls. Let's say you're a celebrity. Let's say you're an attorney who defends, terrorists or something, right? Mm-hmm. And so everyone hates you, and you have a secret phone number, and a lot of prominent people have that number, right? CNN, all the networks have it because they call you to come on their shows so they can yell at you. So now you're this prominent defense attorney. I know you, and you're on my phone, right? I got Mike on my phone, and I've got your secret email address. And then I sign up for Path. You've never heard of Path. I did not know or whatever, and they took my whole phone book, and it gets hacked into and released. All of a sudden, you're getting all these hate calls. You have to go to the expense and trouble of changing your phone over and the time of notifying all the people, the 1,000 people in your old phone, that this is my new number. It's a big pain in the neck. Now you've been impacted and have damages, and you never signed anything with Path. And if Path hadn't taken that data, then is there a cause of action in that hypothetical or not?
I don't see one. I don't think Judge Judy would touch that one.
Yeah, there was an instance where Charles Schwab's database was hacked into, but they didn't get Social Security numbers supposedly, right? And what they ended up doing was all their clients, all their Schwab accounts, got free credit checks for a year, credit alerts through one of the agencies, and they opted to give that to everybody instead of doing anything else. So they just kind of just said, all right, here. Nothing took place. There's no Social Security numbers, no account numbers were released. But just in case, here's free credit watch for a year through his,
But there's a major difference there. The The company has a duty to its customers to maintain that information confidentially.
But you're saying Path doesn't have that same duty.
I'm not intimately familiar with the story, but I haven't heard anything yet that says to me that they had that duty, where they had a relationship with the people whose numbers or email addresses were posted, and they violated the terms of that agreement.
Plus, in your example, Jeff, you're saying this bank had lost the data, or thought that there was a potential for having lost the data, and Path does not have any reason to believe that their data has been compromised.
Correct. Yeah, they don't. Yeah, no, nothing took place. It was just bad PR.
So I think that's just two separate examples.
Right. But we're tossing out the hypothetical that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are going to be cases of this ilk reaching courts as time goes on, because the issues are becoming more and more prevalent, and there may be new laws written to accommodate the people who have these problems, particularly if it happens to someone particularly powerful and rich like Dan, and then that will influence the politicians to take some actions. But again, even on the I'm just thinking now from the other side, looking at it as devil's advocate, that you can only pursue or you can only win a breach of privacy or invasion of privacy action so long as there was an expectation of privacy and that expectation was not fulfilled, such that, again, it's a complex legal standard, but unless there is a reasonable expectation of privacy, you do not have a breach of the duty for that privacy. So what I'm getting to is that some judge somewhere, particularly one who's non-technical, might say, well, if you're going to give out your email address and private phone number to people to call you on their cell phones, there's always a risk that someone could lose that cell phone or that it might not be password protected. That's just an acceptable level of risk, and your damages are you're going to have to go change your phone number and call people.
And I guess a couple of key points. One is it doesn't appear that anyone has suffered any damages. And two, there's no evidence that they did this for any nefarious reason. They did it to make it easier for you to add people. And about your point of a reasonable expectation of privacy, obviously, if you're a true hermit, you wouldn't be joining a social network anyway. The whole point is to, talk to your friends. So,
but listen to what you're doing, Dan. You're kind of now taking a look at it from the other side and realizing how difficult it would be to defend an action like that.
Oh, clearly. I mean, I was just curious. I just asked the question. I said, wouldn't this be a copyright violation? And then I was set straight on that. And then they said the trademark thing. I was just curious if the companies that do this stuff, and the initial thing that I didn't like is he said, well, there's no specific rule against doing this, as if that's an excuse. It just rubbed me the wrong way. But, I guess they screwed up and they fixed it. And I'm sure that lots of app makers are scrambling right now to fix their apps. But
well, keep in mind, there are a lot of things about the law that don't sit right with people. The one that I think is the most egregious, that most people think I don't know what I'm talking about when I tell them about it. But let's suppose that I don't know if you're at your office or at home, but let's suppose that after you get through with this call, you go out, get in your car, drive down to the local McDonald's. On the way, you see a car run off the road, hit a tree. You get out of the car, you walk over, you see someone bleeding to death, and you get in your car and go back to McDonald's. Didn't call anybody, didn't do anything, didn't try to stop the bleeding, the person dies. What have you done wrong?
Morally, I could think of lots of things.
We're talking legally.
I have no idea. If you're not a trained professional, if you're an off-duty cop or
nothing. You have no duty whatsoever to render aid unless you caused the injury or had a pre-existing duty.
Pre-existing duty being you're like an off-duty cop or
if you're
paramedic or doctor.
Yeah, paramedic, absolutely.
Okay.
Or the worst case scenario is you cause the guy to run off the road.
Well, obviously, then you have issues.
You're walking drunk down the road and he swerves to miss you, then you're going to have some duty to try to ameliorate the damage.
Anthony could address that. No, I'm just kidding. Anthony, Candace, how you doing? You're the new person, you're the person Tristan mentioned, right?
Oh, Tristan, yes.
Yeah. Tell us about yourself.
I live in Chicago. I stay home with my 3 children, and I hang out a lot.
You have a nice screen behind you, I see.
Oh, yeah, that's to block what's behind me.
Okay. All right. Well, you caught us at the tail end. Anything exciting happened to you on Google this week, Candace?
We're trying to get together a Chicago hip.
A hurl? Hangout in real life?
It's a hip. We're going with hip.
A hip? What does that mean? Hip hangout in person?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's a hipper name.
Yeah, we can be hipsters because every time I say, "Do you want to hurl?" they think I'm referring to HURL. And
Yeah, I thought that was kind of silly. But hips better. That's cool. Yeah, you got to join us earlier next time, and we'll have you on and tell us about the cool stuff you do.
Oh yes, definitely.
And I'm going to close the show in a sec, and then I'm going to open the Hangout, and then if you want to just hang out with us. Any final thoughts, Mike, and then Anthony? Okay, I think all right. Any?
Sorry about that. I had it muted because I had to move the camera. So
that's okay. Any final thoughts? Anything exciting happened to you this week with Google Plus?
No, not for me. I got my brand new camera here, so I'm playing with this. This is the brand new Logitech C920, which will take over the market before long.
It looks good. And you, where are you located? You're not in your usual spot, right?
Yeah, I am. I just added the green backdrop.
Oh, okay. Because you have you have close stuff next to you that isn't normally there. You have there and the other thing, but
there's that. Now the camera's in a different spot, and it's I just got it today. It's the 920, and it's since everybody here uses webcams, if you decide to buy one, it's the one you should consider from Logitech because it will actually do HD, but the main thing is it has the H.264 encoder built into it instead of offloading that to the processor in your computer, which means that it has a lot less strain on your computer and things just work better.
Cool. That's awesome.
How much did you pay for that?
Actually, I got it as a test model, but I think they're like $90 at Amazon.
It's not terrible for what it does.
It's a C920 Logitech. I just got it today, but so far the testing has been awesome.
Cool. I see Alan's just joined us. We're getting ready to... are you back at home, Alan?
Looks like it.
Looks like it.
Not exactly.
Where are you now? You were in a ferry. Were you traveling away?
No.
You look angry. Are you mad at us?
No, I'm not mad at you.
Called a vent? Okay. How long? It was a 45-minute ferry? Or was it? What was it crossing?
Crossing Cape Cod.
Oh, cool. Okay. Awesome. Okay, well, let me close the show, and then we'll keep the Hangout going, the Hangout on air. On the same YouTube channel, McDermott Report, we have a new show we're piloting, just playing with Alan, Oleg, and I, and we are talking about non-Google Plus, usually tech topics. We've got 2 things, one Pinterest, one Path we did right when that stuff was coming out. And anyway, so we're having fun with that, and we'll maybe do a couple more this week and play with it. But they're single topic short videos. Short for us, it's like 10 minutes. But we're trying to get it down even shorter. But anyway, I want to thank everyone for watching. We'll be back next Friday live at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And we appreciate you checking us out here on Google Plus Week.